Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Hugh Riches. Tonight I'll be talking to the leads in a production of The Graduate at Hull Truck. Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. And we visit medal-winning gymnasts. But first it's over to James Dunn for the news headlines.
Hello, in the headlines today, a man is injured and homes evacuated after a gas explosion in Scunthorpe. And The Walking Dead will be marching in this year's Cleethorpes Carnival Parade. A casualty was taken to hospital in an air ambulance after a gas explosion in Scunthorpe yesterday. The man was said to be part of a team doing maintenance on a pit on Ashby Road when the explosion occurred at around 11:30 a.m. A number of houses were evacuated in the area and a 100-metre cordon was put in place as gas was leaking into the atmosphere. Estuary TV heard from residents who could smell the gas in their houses as far as a mile away. Gas engineers were on the scene and a number of road closures in place on Ashby Road and the surrounding area. Child safety is high on the agenda for most people these days, and it's no different for Killinghome Primary School. They're part of a collection of schools holding safety lessons in a range of issues, from staying safe on the roads to not putting yourself in danger while surfing the internet. Killinghome hosted a special conference as part of the Guardian School Safety Day, and more than 50 children took part.
It's that whole awareness of you can still do an activity even though it may be dangerous as long as you address the risks. So I think it's the message really for the children is just think about what you're putting yourself into.
We've learned about road safety, we've learned about all sorts of safety like trip hazards. We've got like these little packs about the school run code and Ziggy and Zaggy, which are the jet robots that are safety robots.
A group from Market Raisin have been convicted of a tax evasion scam that cost the taxpayer an estimated £5 million. The people convicted had lucrative haulage companies and managed to undercut their competitors by running on red fuel. Huge quantities were sold on the black market, and the group conspired to evade paying excise duty on the government-subsidised diesel. The scam started in 2006 and lasted until 2012. The 3-year investigation started after officers discovered internal fuel tanks inside a number of lorries, which were running on red fuel, although they appeared to be running on white. 4 people were charged and will be sentenced on July the 10th. A 69-year-old lady from Caister is hoping to swim the Channel as part of a 6-person relay today. Margaret Smith has been a leading light in long-distance swimming for many years and still swims in Grimsby docks every New Year's Day, whatever the weather. She headed out to Dover last weekend and is raising money for St Andrew's Hospice. And we're hoping to get in touch with Margaret when she gets back next week, so watch this space to find out how she got on. A man has died in what police are calling an industrial accident in Hull. He was thought to have been working in and around the lifts in Queen's House on Paragon Street when he suffered fatal injuries in an accident. Police are now working with Hull City Council to establish the circumstances surrounding it. A specialist nurse from Hull Royal Infirmary has been named on a national list, naming the top people in the country for bringing happiness to others. Multiple sclerosis specialist Jane Fowler was named in the list by the Independent newspaper, which is coined as the perfect antidote to the Times Rich List. She raised around £10,000 for MS charities over the last 10 years and joins Hull's Bee Lady and fellow fundraiser Jean Bishop, who also made the list. They've all been invited by the editor to a special celebration in London next week. Now, if I said zombies were coming to town, you'd probably think that was not a good thing. Although you'd be wrong, as professional Grimsby zombie Jamie Hill has been using his elaborate costumes to raise money for charity. More than 50 people dressed up for the 2nd annual event through Grimsby Town Centre on World Zombie Day last October, raising more than £500 for the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. But there were some complaints, and it looked like it may be dead and buried after people told Jamie they would need a public events licence to hold it again. But he's managed to skip the red tape, and he and his zombie friends will take part in Cleethorpes Carnival Parade this July to raise money for the local branch of the RNLI.
Yeah, to try and get around all the politics and all the sort of bad press that I've had the last 2 years, we're going to do it for the Cleethorpes Carnival. And this year's for the charity is going to be the RNLI. And it's going to be the Cleethorpes branch of the RNLI. and just eat brains and stumble about. And raise money for charity when I'm allowed.
Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for in today's bulletin, so until next time, it's bye for now.
We're all told from a very young age that it's the taking part that counts, not the winning, which is supposed to be some consolation for children who have to watch their friends win the awards while they go home with nothing. That wasn't a problem for a Grimsby gymnastic club this year, after every single competitor went home with a medal from a Yorkshire regional competition, and it was their first ever competition. James Dunn went to Twist and Flip Gymnastic Academy to learn more about the secret of everybody's success.
Sometimes, if you want something done, you have to do it yourself, and lucky for more than 100 children at Twist and Flip, that's exactly what Nikki Nichol decided to do.
Because as a child I did gymnastics and it was a really big part of my life, and obviously it kept me off the streets, and when I moved into the area the waiting lists were really high for my children, my young two girls, so I decided to start it up myself. I got qualifications. I needed to brush up on them, so I thought, well, why not?
Twist and Flip has now been running and jumping for nearly 3 years. This summer they competed for the first time and the results were astonishing. All 17 of the girls that took part in Leeds came back with medals.
I just felt really warm inside and cried because I was just so proud of all of them, because I didn't expect them. I also prepped them and said, you know, we're not going to win. We're just going to see what it's like, see if you want to do it again, and if you like it then we can enter you into some more. So I think for me it was, for them all to get somewhere, yeah, it was amazing. It made me feel really good.
And for the girls, it was all the encouragement they needed to take their hobby further.
It was amazing to come away with that. We didn't expect, the whole club didn't expect to come back with anything. It was just sort of to get a feel of what competitions was like. It was amazing to come back with such a range of medals.
It made me feel like I just wanted to do gymnastics all my life.
Now, proud head coach Nikki hopes they can use their recent results as a springboard to success.
Obviously, we don't want to overpush them if they don't want to do it. That's absolutely fine. But if they do, it would be amazing for someone from Grimsby, such a small community, to get somewhere. Maybe the next Olympics, you never know, do you? You just watch this space.
But for the parents, it's about more than gymnastics.
I don't know if it's that independence, like the mums aren't all sat around watching every move that they make, so they've got that, you know, it's something that they go off and do on their own, and they get to do like the bars and the beams. It's not just on the mat, so.
Yeah, it's given her a lot of confidence and she's just really enjoyed coming. It's nice for them to do some extra activity, and it's their fitness as well.
James Dunn, Estuary TV News.
The Chameleon Players are putting on a production of The Graduate at Hull Truck Theatre from the 15th to the 19th of July. I'm joined by the leads, Tim Bettridge, who plays Ben, and Jane Buckland as the seductive Mrs. Robinson. Welcome to you both. Thank you very much for coming on.
Hello.
Hi. It's always an ambitious thing to put on The Graduate because it's a film that so many people are so very aware of and so very fond of. Why did you choose The Graduate?
Well, I don't know. We'd have to ask the director that. We like to take risks. We like to do. The Chameleon Players like to do things that perhaps other amateur theatre groups don't think to do. You know, we like to take a challenge on. We've done bits of Shakespeare in the past. We did Miss Julie alongside all the usual Amdram favourites. So I think it was the challenge, really. Yeah.
And it's been played by, well, in the film we know as Tim, you're in the footsteps of Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
He's a competent player, and Jane, you're in the footsteps of Anne Bancroft, who knew a thing or two about acting. It must be a horrible temptation to try to almost do sort of an imitation rather than your own interpretation.
Well, it is. I think it was quite hard to not mimic certain elements of of his speech. But having said that, I think it becomes, you get more of an instinct with it, and you can bring your own work to the table, you know, and hopefully it's good, and it'll be taken all right, you know.
Yeah, I've not seen the film right the way through. and I'm not going to. I'm playing Mrs. Robinson. I'm not playing Anne Bancroft. So, you know, I'm bringing my kind of interpretation to the character as much as I can. So, if it resembles her performance, that's going to be a coincidence, really.
Well, if you haven't seen the film, I should warn you that Mrs. Robinson takes her clothes off an awful lot.
She does.
Is this going to be quite a risque performance?
Yes.
Well, we all do.
Really?
Well, we both do.
We do.
Yeah, we've had all sorts of discussions about that. I mean, Anne Bancroft was a good 15 years younger than me, and had the benefit of Hollywood's makeup and costume artists and what have you, which I don't have. So, we bear a fair bit.
Enough
to be convincing.
For theatrical effect.
Yeah.
The other great thing everybody will remember about the film, of course, is the music. Wonderful music from Simon and Garfunkel. Will there be a musical accompaniment in Hull?
Well, there's all sorts of issues about performing rights and what have you. So during the production, we've got bits of music that the director's sort of, I think he plays some music. We've got a musician in the group who composes some bits of music. So before and after the production, I think there might be bits of Simon and Garfunkel played sort of through the theatres, various licenses. But during the production, we're a bit limited on what we're allowed to play. But I'm sure people will be singing along anyway, won't they?
I don't think you can stop them, no.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, the theme of the play is a young, innocent man. And I don't know if that describes you, Tim, in real life.
Well, I like to think so.
Who's seduced by an older and much more sophisticated woman.
Yeah.
Why is that such an enduring and attractive theme to audiences?
Well, I think it's because everyone, I think, can probably relate to temptation and, you know, the consequences that temptation might have. And it makes it more appealing somehow. If there is a risk, there's an element of risk. It's kind of the forbidden fruit. You know, you want what you can't have. And I think it, you know, encapsulates a lot of people's lives, really.
And there's an aspect as well to the original novel, to the film, and to subsequent stage adaptations, that it's a very American story in that it's about a sort of an escape from the confining walls of American suburban middle class and American suburban middle class morality. How does that transfer to Britain, where, if I may dare to say, we're a little bit more relaxed about that sort of thing? Does it have a good British context?
Well, it doesn't. So we're all having a good old stab at an American accent in this. So we are setting it in California. But I think the translation, I think for me the interesting bit is the character of Mrs. Robinson. And why on earth would she put herself in this position and start an affair with her husband's business partner's son? And I think there's issues. I was having a conversation with my neighbour about this the other day. You know, in modern Britain, in the modern world, that she would have had all sorts of escapes from this life that she's trapped in, this boring, horrible life that she just oils it with alcohol, basically. And I've been trying to understand what makes her do this, and so it's interesting to sort of try to relate that now to what do women do who are frustrated, who don't get to be creative, who don't get to fulfil their potential, who are let down and disappointed. So I think there's a lot of resonance from that kind of aspect, really, the sort of different role that women have in society now. I'm not saying women don't still have affairs with younger men, but for Mrs. Robinson in particular.
I wouldn't know. It's a while since I've been a young and innocent man, I'm afraid. Just to remind everybody, it's the Hull Truck Theatre, the Graduate Chameleon Players from the 15th to the 19th of July. All the best with that.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
That's all we have time for this time, I'm afraid. If you have a story for us, please email news@estuary.tv or contact us via Twitter or Facebook, or pick up the telephone and call 01472 315561. Until next time, goodbye.